Right now, as you read this sentence, someone's mother is clocking into her third shift this week. Her knees ache. Her eyes burn. She hasn't sat down for a meal with her children in 4 days. She will earn $87 today. Every cent is already spoken for. Rent, electricity, the minimum payment on a credit card she opened to cover last February's emergency room visit. She is not lazy. She is not unintelligent. She is, by every measurable standard, one of the hardest working human beings alive. Meanwhile, 6 miles across town, a man wakes up at 10 a.m., checks his phone, and discovers he made $4,200 overnight. Not from working, not from producing anything. His money simply made more money while he dreamed. This is not a story. This is the economy you live in. And after 23 years of advising clients on both sides of this divide, from single mothers surviving on food stamps to families whose portfolios generate more passive income in a month than most people earn in a year, I need to tell you something that no one in finance wants to say out loud. The system is not broken. It was built this way. If that sentence made you uncomfortable, good. Stay with me. What I'm about to break down will change the way you see every dollar you earn, every dollar you spend, and every dollar that quietly disappears from your life without.
When a poor person earns $1, that dollar has already been assigned a funeral. It's dead on arrival. Rent takes it, groceries take it, transportation takes it, insurance takes it, the light bill, the water bill, the phone bill that you need to have the job that gave you the dollar in the first place. They all line up like pallbearers and carry that dollar straight to the grave. When a rich person earns $1, that dollar gets hired. It goes to work. It buys an asset. That asset produces another dollar, and that dollar produces another, and another, and another. The rich person didn't work harder for the second dollar or the third or the thousandth. The money did the work. This is the fundamental mechanism of inequality, and it operates with the precision of a machine. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest in the comments. When was the last time one of your dollars made you another dollar? Not from your labor, from the dollar itself working. Think about it. Drop your answer below. The poverty tax. What it actually costs to be poor. Here is something that will make your blood boil, and it should. It is astronomically more expensive to be poor than to be rich. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Banking. A wealthy person keeps a high balance, so their bank pays them. Interest, perks, fee waivers, premium services. A poor person can't maintain the minimum balance, so the bank charges them. $12 monthly maintenance fees, $35 overdraft fees, $3 ATM fees. The person with the least money is literally paying more to access their own money. In the United States alone, low-income households pay over $40 billion per year in bank fees and alternative financial service charges. $40 billion. Extracted from the people who can least afford it. Credit. A rich person has an 800 credit score. They borrow money at 3-4% interest. A poor person has a 580 credit score, not because they're irresponsible, but because poverty itself generates bad credit. They borrow at 18%, 24%, sometimes 29.99%. The same $20,000 car costs the poor person thousands more over the life of the loan. The same house, the same education. Everything costs more when you have less. Let me put hard numbers on this. A $250,000 mortgage at 3.5% interest over 30 years costs roughly $154,000 in total interest. That same mortgage at 6.5%, the rate someone with poor credit might get, costs approximately $319,000 in interest.
That's a $165,000 penalty for being poor. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. Insurance. Poor neighborhoods have higher car insurance rates, higher home insurance rates, higher everything insurance rates. A person in a low-income zip code can pay 30–50% more for the exact same coverage as someone in a wealthy suburb. Same driving record, same car, same policy. Food. Wealthy areas have Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, farmers markets. Poor areas have corner stores and dollar menus. Fresh vegetables cost more than processed food. A head of broccoli is $2.50. A cheeseburger is $1.29. When you're deciding between feeding your kids something healthy and feeding your kids at all, the math is brutal and unforgiving. Time. And here's the tax no one talks about: the time tax. The poor spend hours on buses that the rich spend in cars. They spend hours in laundromats that the rich spend with machines in their own homes. They spend hours navigating bureaucracies for benefits that the rich never have to think about. Time is the only non-renewable resource any human being has, and poverty devours it. Bet if this is opening your eyes, imagine what the rest of this video will do. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the financial system counts on you not knowing this information. Every subscriber is someone who chose to stop being in the dark. The wealth escalator versus the poverty treadmill. Picture two people at the airport. One is on the escalator. She's standing still, arms crossed, checking her phone, not moving a muscle, and she's rising. Effortlessly, automatically. The machine carries her upward.
The other is on the treadmill in the airport gym. He's running, sprinting. Sweat is pouring off him. His heart is pounding. He's giving everything he has. And he is in the exact same spot he was 10 minutes ago. This is the economy. The escalator is asset ownership. The treadmill is wage labor. Once you own assets, property, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, the economy carries you upward. Your net worth grows while you sleep, while you vacation, while you do absolutely nothing. The S&P 500 has averaged roughly 10% annual returns over the last century. That means if you have $1 million invested, you're making $100,000 a year for existing. No alarm clock, no boss, no commute. But here's the cruel part. You need money to get on the escalator in the first place. The cost of a single share of Berkshire Hathaway Class A stock is over $600,000. The median down payment on a home in America is around $30,000, $60,000. Starting a business requires capital. Investing requires surplus. And surplus is the one thing that poverty, by definition, does not allow. So the poor run faster on the treadmill. They pick up extra shifts. They start side hustles. They skip meals. They sacrifice sleep. And the treadmill spins faster and faster, and they never move an inch. And eventually, their bodies break down, and the treadmill keeps spinning. Now, I need to hear from you right now. Are you on the escalator or the treadmill? No shame, no judgment, just truth. Tell me in the comments, because the first step to changing your position is admitting where you stand. The three invisible walls. In my career, I have watched hundreds of hardworking, intelligent, disciplined people slam into three walls that they could not see. These walls are not physical, they are structural, and they are devastatingly effective at keeping the poor exactly where they are. Wall number one, the emergency trap. 64% of Americans cannot cover an unexpected.
This means that for nearly 2/3 of the population, a flat tire, a broken tooth, a sick child, a busted furnace, any single unplanned event triggers a financial avalanche. They borrow. They pay interest on the borrowing. The interest eats into next month's income. Next month's income was already insufficient, so they borrow again, and again, and again. This is not a cycle. It is a trap, and it is mathematically designed to tighten with every rotation. I once sat across the table from a client, a man who worked 60 hours a week as a warehouse supervisor. Good job, decent pay. He was saving $200 a month, doing everything right. Then his car transmission failed. $3,400 repair. He put it on a credit card at 22% interest. It took him 14 months to pay it off. In those 14 months, he paid $412 in interest alone. That's 14 months of saving erased. 14 months of discipline punished. He didn't make a mistake. Life happened, and the system charged him for it. A wealthy person's car breaks down, and they're annoyed. A poor person's car breaks down, and their entire financial ecosystem collapses. Wall number 2, the information asymmetry. The rich don't just have more money, they have more knowledge. And I'm not talking about intelligence, I'm talking about access. Wealthy families teach their children about compound interest at the dinner table. They talk about tax loss harvesting at Thanksgiving. They have accountants, financial advisors, estate planners, and tax attorneys on speed dial. They know about 401k employer matches, Roth IRA backdoor conversions, 1031 exchanges, depreciation schedules, capital gains harvesting, and the 100 other mechanisms that legally minimize their tax burden and maximize their wealth accumulation. Poor families teach their children to survive because that's the immediate priority, and it should be. You can't discuss index funds when the electricity is about to be cut off. But the result is a knowledge gap that compounds just like interest. Every year the rich learn more about money, they get richer. Every year the poor don't have access to that knowledge, they fall further behind. It's not that poor people are stupid. It's that the information is gatekept behind expensive advisors, behind exclusive networks, behind institutional walls that require a minimum net worth just to walk through the door. Wall number 3, the social capital deficit. There's an old saying, your network is your net worth. And like most cliches, it's infuriatingly accurate. When a wealthy person's child needs a job, they call someone. An uncle, a family friend, a college roommate, someone who can open a door. When a poor person's child needs a job, they fill out an application online and wait, and wait, and wait. When a wealthy entrepreneur needs capital, they pitch to people who have capital, other wealthy individuals at country clubs, alumni events, private dinners. When a poor person has a business idea, and many do, brilliant ones, they have no one to pitch to, no one to fund it, no one to mentor them through the process. Wealth is not just money. It is an ecosystem of relationships, information, access, and opportunity that self-perpetuates across generations. Poverty is the absence of that ecosystem, and building it from scratch, alone, with no resources, while working 3 jobs to keep the lights on, that's not a level playing field. That's a cliff face with no rope. We're deep into this now, and I can feel some of you having that moment where something clicks and you see the whole machine for what it is. If that's you, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. This information needs to travel. The algorithm buries content that challenges the status quo. Your engagement is the only thing that fights that. The mathematics of generational wealth and generational poverty. Let me show you 2 families. Both start in the year 2000. Both work hard. Both love their children. Both want a better future. Family A has $50,000 in savings. They invested in a diversified index fund, averaging 8% annual returns. They add $500 per month. They don't touch it. Family B has $0 in savings. They earn the same household income, but after rent, bills, food, transportation, and the occasional emergency, they have $0 left to invest. Not because they spend recklessly, because the cost of surviving consumes everything. Fast forward 25 years to 2025. Family A's investment has grown to approximately $843,000. They didn't work harder than Family B. They didn't sacrifice more. They simply had a starting position that allowed their money to compound. Family B has $0 in investments. a quarter century of hard work, and their net worth from investing is zero. Not because they failed, because the starting line was different. Now extend this across generations. Family A leaves that $843,000 to their children. Those children start life on the escalator. Family B leaves nothing, not because they didn't love their children, but because poverty consumed every resource they had. Those children start on the treadmill. This is how dynasties are built. This is how poverty becomes hereditary. And this is why working hard by itself will never be enough. Here's the question that haunts me, and I want it to haunt you too. If you died tomorrow, what financial foundation would your children start from? A launch pad or a hole they'd have to climb out of? Tell me in the comments, not to shame you, but to make this real, because until it's personal, it's just theory. What the rich know that the poor were never taught. In 23 years of financial advising, I have identified 7 principles that virtually every wealthy client understands and virtually every struggling client was never exposed to. These are not secrets, they are not complicated, but they are systematically withheld from the people who need them most. 1. Money is a tool, not a reward. The poor are taught that money is what you get for working. The rich understand that money is what you use to build. A salary is not the finish line, it's the raw material. 2. Assets over income. The poor chase higher income. The rich chase assets that generate income. A $10 an hour raise feels significant, but it's linear. It adds the same amount every hour, and it disappears the moment you stop working. A rental property that cash flows $1,000 a month is exponential. It pays you whether you work or not, and its value appreciates over time. 3. Debt is a weapon, and it cuts both ways. The poor use debt to consume. Credit cards for groceries, car loans for transportation, payday loans for emergencies. This is destructive debt. It subtracts from your net worth. The rich use debt to acquire. Mortgages for rental properties, business loans for expansion, margin for investment. This is productive debt. Same instrument, opposite outcomes. The difference is education. 4. Taxes are the largest expense you'll ever have, and they're negotiable. A W-2 employee has almost no control over their tax burden. The government takes its share before the money ever reaches their bank account. A business owner, an investor, a real estate holder, they have access to dozens of legal tax reduction strategies. Depreciation, write-offs, qualified business income deductions, long-term capital gains rates, opportunity zones, self-directed retirement accounts. The wealthy don't evade taxes, they navigate them. And the tax code, all 7,000 plus pages of it, was largely written by people who serve the interests of the wealthy. That's not conspiracy, that's legislative history. 5. Time is worth more than money. The poor sell time for money. The rich buy back time with money. Every hour a wealthy person spends on a low-value task is an hour they're not spending on a high-value opportunity. So they hire, they delegate, they automate, they free up their highest value resource, their attention, for the activities that generate the most return. Risk is relative. When you have $500 to your name, a $500 investment feels like putting everything on the line. The emotional weight is crushing. The fear of loss is paralyzing. When you have $5 million, a $500 investment is a rounding error. You can take risks freely, fail repeatedly, and absorb losses without consequence. This is why the wealthy can afford to invest in high-return opportunities that the poor cannot psychologically or financially access. The cruel irony, the people who need high returns the most are the least able to take the risks required to get them. The game has rules. Learn them or lose. Monopoly is a terrible metaphor for the economy, but it gets one thing right. The person who understands the rules wins. Most poor people are playing a game whose rules were never explained to them. They don't know what an index fund is. They don't know what compound interest does over 40 years. They don't know that their employer's 401k match is literally free money. They don't know because no one told them. And no one told them because the system profits from their ignorance. Which of these 7 principles hit you the hardest? Which one did you wish someone had told you 20 years ago? Drop the number in the comments. I read every single one. The emotional toll no one talks about. I need to say something that goes beyond numbers now, because this isn't just about money, it's about humanity. Poverty doesn't just empty your wallet, it empties your spirit. I have sat with clients who cried, grown adults, strong people, people who work harder than anyone I know, who cried because they couldn't afford their child's field trip. $15. $15 they didn't have. And the shame of that, the searing, suffocating shame, is something that no spreadsheet can capture. I have watched poverty destroy marriages, not because the love wasn't there, but because the stress was too much. Financial strain is the #1 predictor of divorce. Not infidelity, not incompatibility, money. I have seen poverty steal health. People who skip medications because they can't afford the copay. People who ignore chest pains because they can't miss work. People who die, literally die from conditions that are treatable, preventable, survivable, if only they had the financial resources to seek care. And here is what breaks my heart most. I have watched poverty steal dreams. Brilliant children who could have been engineers, doctors, artists, leaders, whose potential was buried under the weight of survival, who never got the chance to discover what they were capable of because every ounce of their energy went to just making it through the day. That is the true cost of this system, not dollars, dreams. If this message moved you, if it made you feel something, then it needs to reach more people. Subscribe, share this, send it to your family group chat, post it on your story. The algorithm will bury this unless you actively push it to the surface. Your engagement is an act of resistance against the system that benefits from your silence. So what do we do? The path forward. I would be a fraud if I laid all of this out and offered no direction. So let me speak to you directly, not as a financial advisor to a client, but as a human being to another human being who deserves better than what this system was designed to give you. If you're starting from zero, step 1, plug the leaks. Audit every dollar leaving your life. Subscriptions you forgot about, fees you're paying unnecessarily, interest rates you could negotiate down. Most people are losing $100 to $300 per month to financial leaks they don't even know exist. Step 2, build a buffer. Even $500 in savings changes the game. It won't make you rich, but it will stop one emergency from triggering a debt spiral. $500 is the difference between a flat tire being an inconvenience and the flat tire being a catastrophe. Step 3. Learn one wealth-building skill per quarter. This quarter, understand what an index fund is and how to open a brokerage account. Next quarter, learn about tax-advantage retirement accounts. The quarter after, study basic real estate investing. You don't need to learn everything at once. You need to learn one thing and apply it. Step 4, change your environment. Not your neighborhood, your information environment. Unfollow people who only show you how to spend money. Follow people who show you how to build it. Listen to financial podcasts during your commute instead of music. Read one book on personal finance this year. Just one. Step 5. Start imperfectly, incompletely, immediately. $25 per month into an index fund. That's it. That's the start. In 30 years at 8% average returns, that $25 per month becomes over $35,000. It's not a fortune, but it's $35,000 more than the system wanted you to have. And it's a foundation your children can build on. Final question, and this is the one that matters most. What is one action you're going to take this week based on what you learned today? Not next month, not someday, this week. Write it in the comments. Make it public. Make it a commitment. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. The truth they don't want you to hear. The wealthy are not your enemy. Most of them worked hard, took risks, and made smart decisions. I respect that. I advise them. I've helped them grow. But the system, the structure of rules, incentives, penalties, and access is tilted. It rewards those who already have and penalizes those who don't. And until we acknowledge that tilt honestly, without shame, without blame, without pretending that effort alone determines outcome, nothing changes. You were told that hard work is the answer. Hard work is part of the answer. But without financial education, without access to capital, without the right information at the right time, hard work alone is just running on a treadmill while someone else rides the escalator past you.
You deserve to know this. Your parents deserve to know this. Your children deserve better than to learn it the hard way. I've spent 23 years watching this machine operate. I've seen what it does to good people. I've seen the silence, the shame, the quiet desperation of people who did everything they were told to do and still couldn't get ahead. That silence ends now. Now with anger, not with blame, with understanding, with education, with action. Because the moment you understand the machine, you can start building your own. This is the content the financial industry doesn't want going viral. If it reached you, make sure it reaches someone else. Subscribe, share, comment. Save this for later. Come back to it when you need the reminder. And most importantly, start. Start today. Because 20 years from now, the only thing worse than knowing the truth and doing nothing is never knowing the truth at all. If you made it to the end, you are already different than 90% of people. You chose to learn. Now choose to act. I'll see you in the next one.